Hello students, today in your meteorology course I shall start with force measurement. So in the previous day I have already covered strain measurement, so today I shall cover the force measurement, how we measure the force. So first go to the introduction, definition of the force. So force is basically a physical quantity fundamental to engineering, mainly it is term related to engine output. Force has been measured for a number of applications, hence its measurement is very important. Some common terms related to force measurement are given discussed below. Just go to the lines. Force, the physical quantity which changes or tends to change the motion of the shape of the body, which is called the force. The unit of the force is kgf or Newton. Okay. So one is gravitational unit, one is absolute unit. That you know from the very basic. So weight, what is the weight? The weight of the body is the force exerted on the body by the gravitational acceleration. Okay. So weight will vary point to point on the earth's surface. Now mass. The mass is defined as the measure of the quantity of matter. Mass is invariable. Mass is always remains constant. So what are the different devices to measure the force? So first is scale and balance. So equal arm balance, unequal arm balance, pendulum scale, multilever type. Next is elastic force meter. Next is load cell. Load cells are different type. That means within the syllabus the load cell has covered. So you'll have to read load cell very carefully and very sincerely. Okay. So load cells are basically three types. One is hydraulic load cell, pneumatic load cell, and strain gauge load cell. Okay. Now what is load cell? So load cell basically a transducer. So that is used to convert the force into electrical signal. So what is the definition of transducer? We have already know. That is used to convert any non-electrical signal to a electrical signal. Okay. So here in the load cell is also a transducer. And here it will convert the force. The force is a non-electrical signal, and it will convert in a electrical signal. Okay. The conversion is indirect and happens in two stages. Through a mechanical arrangement, the force is being sensed to form a strain gauge. The strain gauge measures the deformation or strain as an electrical signal because the strain changes the effective electrical resistance of the wire. So that is very easy to understand. So in the previous day I have already understood you the how strain gauge works. So strain gauge basically converts any non-electrical signal to electrical resistance. So here also non-electrical signal means basically the strain part, the change in the length. So here you see in the load cell also, first the load, the force will be converted into an equivalent strain. Then with the help of strain gauge you can convert that strain into a electrical resistance, and that electrical resistance will give you the final value of your resistance, and in which in turn will you will be able to calculate the applied load or applied force. So force is first converted into equivalent strain, then strain is converted into electrical signal, that is in terms of a resistance. So that is very easy. Okay. So a load cell usually consists of 4 strain gauges in Wheatstone bridge configuration like this. Okay, in the next time I will cover. Okay. So it basically consists of 4 strain gauges, and that strain gauges are arranged in a Wheatstone bridge pattern. The load cell of 1 strain gauge, the quarter bridge, or 2 strain gauge is half bridge, also available. That means you see, when you use the 4 strain gauges at the 4 arms of the Wheatstone bridge, then the total circuit is called the full bridge Wheatstone bridge. And when you use the 2 strain gauges, okay, instead of 4, 2 means the circuit is called half bridge. When you use only one strain gauge, then the circuit is called the quarter bridge type Wheatstone bridge. Okay. The electrical signal output is typically in the order of few millivolts and requires amplification by an instrument amplifier before it can be used. The output of the transducer can be scaled to calculate the force applied to the transducer. So there are 3 types of load cell: hydraulic, pneumatic, and strain gauge. So first is the hydraulic load cell. So what is the basic principle? So when a force is applied on a liquid medium contained in a confined space, the pressure of the liquid increases. This increase in pressure of the liquid is proportional to the applied force. Hence, a measure of the increase in pressure of the liquid becomes a measure of the applied force when calibrated. That means that amount of load applied is converted on the load is first applied on the column, liquid column. So whatever the amount of load is applied, that equivalent amount of pressure will be applied on the liquid column. So we'll measure the pressure on the liquid using pressure gauge, and using that pressure, the measured pressure, we can really understand the value of load that is applied. Okay, so load is here directly proportional to the pressure applied on the liquid. This is the main fundamental idea. What are the descriptions? The main parts of the hydraulic are as follows: a diaphragm, a piston with a loading platform placed on the top of the diaphragm, a liquid medium which is under a preloaded pressure is on the other side of the diaphragm, a pressure gauge, mainly Bourdon type, okay, connected to the liquid column. So this is the arrangement you see. This is the arrangement. Here you see this is the platform. On the platform the force is applied, and which in turn gives pressure on the piston. Piston gives pressure on the liquid, and finally we measure the pressure on the liquid using Bourdon type pressure gauge. Okay, so here you see the force, whatever the amount of force is applied, its equivalent pressure we can measure from the pressure gauge, and here the pressure is the measure of force. So operation, the force is to be measured is applied to the piston. The applied force moves the piston downward, the deflect the diaphragm, and deflection of the diaphragm increases the pressure of the liquid medium or oil. The increase in pressure of the liquid medium is proportional to the applied force. This increase in pressure is measured by the Bourdon type pressure gauge, which is connected to the liquid medium. The pressure is calibrated in force unit, hence the indication in the pressure gauge becomes a measure of the force applied on the piston. So note, as the hydraulic load cell is sensitive to pressure change, the load cell should be adjusted to zero setting, okay, zero setting, before using it to measure the force. These cells have accuracy in the order of 0.1% of its scale and can measure loads up to 2.5 into 10 to the power 5 kgf. Okay, the resolution is about 0.02%. Just go through these points. Okay, main fundamental idea is the construction, is diagram, its working principle, and operation. Okay, pneumatic load cell. What is pneumatic load cell? Here you see the previous one is the hydraulic using oil. Now the pneumatic that means the pressure is basically applied on the air confined in a vessel. Okay, if a force is applied to one side of the diaphragm and air pressure is applied on the other side, some particular value of pressure will be necessary to exactly balance the force. This pressure is proportional to the applied force. Okay, here you see the force is applied. This is flapper, this is nozzle, this is diaphragm, this is the boss. Okay, from here you get the air pressure regulator, from here you supply the air, and by movement of the diaphragm the pressure is applied on the air, and which in turn gives the measurement of the pressure gauge, and will measure the pressure, and in turn by calibration will measure the value of the force applied. Description, what is this? The main parts of the pneumatic load cell as follows: the corrugated diagram with its top surface attached with arrangements to apply force, and air supply regulator, nozzle, and pressure gauge arranged as shown is figure. A flapper arrangement above the nozzle as shown is figure. Okay, this is the flapper. The operation, the force to be measured is applied to the top side of the diaphragm. Okay, here top side of the diaphragm. Due to this force, the diaphragm deflects and causes the flapper to shut off the nozzle opening. Okay, due to the applied force, the flapper moves like this, making an arc. So this way the flapper actually helps to open or close the nozzle mouth, and this way the force the force is being transmitted. Okay, the flapper actually governs the control of the opening and closing of the nozzle. Okay, so now an air supply is provided at the bottom of the diaphragm. As the flapper closes the nozzle opening, a back pressure results the underneath of the diaphragm. That means you supply air from here, okay, and nozzle opening is closed. That means a back pressure will be applied. Okay, here you see then applied and air supply is provided at the bottom of the diaphragm. As the flapper closes the nozzle opening, a back pressure results. Okay, that means the condition is that nozzle opening should be closed. Okay, nozzle mouth should be closed. Okay, now air will be supplied, and due to this reason a back pressure will be applied, and that back pressure will be measured in the pressure gauge. This back pressure acts as the diaphragm, producing the upward force. Air pressure is regulated until the diaphragm returns to the preloaded position, which is indicated by air which comes out if the nozzle. Okay, now the back pressure acts on the diaphragm, producing an upward force. That means that this is the back pressure. Back pressure is applied on the diaphragm bottom part, and what will happen due to this? The upward force will create in an upward pressure. Air pressure is regulated until the diaphragm returns to the preloaded position. That means that pressure will go up, it will move up the diaphragm, and back pressure will be helping to come back to the original position by the back pressure applied. Okay, so diaphragm will be back once to its original position. Now what will happen? Returns the preloaded position, which is indicated by air which comes out if the nozzle. At this stage, the corresponding pressure indicated by the pressure gauge becomes the measure of the applied force when calibrated. And at this particular scenario, at this particular condition, the pressure is measured at the pressure gauge, and that pressure is the measure of the applied force. So what is the note? The pneumatic load cell can measure load up to 2.5 to 10 to the power 3 kgf, and accuracy is 0.5% of the full scale. Now, most important thing is the strain gauge. So strain gauge is nothing but, you know already in the previous class I have already covered the strain gauge part. So this is a Wheatstone bridge circuit. At each arm at each arm of the Wheatstone bridge, one strain gauge will be there. So its resistance are R1, R2, R3, R4. Okay, so at the balanced condition, when there is no output voltage, we see that R1 into R4 equal to R2 into R3. Okay, now when the resistance changes, the system becomes unbalanced, and due to reason, what will happen? The net output voltage, the output voltage will be generated as the system has been totally unbalanced. And what is the condition of unbalancing situation? No, the R1 into R4 not equal to R2 into R3. But at the balanced situation, when there is no voltage is generated, no output voltage is there, that means the R1, R4 will be equal to R2 into R3. So when a steel cylinder is subjected to force, if it tends to the change of dimension, the cylinder is the strain gauge is bonded, the strain gauge also is stretched or compressed, causing a change in the length of the diameter. Thus, change in the dimension of the strain gauge causes the resistance to the change. This change in resistance of the strain gauge becomes measure of the applied force. So, very easy. Here the load is applied, and due to the applied load, the strain is applied. Okay, that means the body gets deflected. That means it will be either compressed or stretched. So after deformation, the whole strain will be measured in terms of the resistance using Wheatstone bridge circuit, and that much of strain is a measure of the total load applied. So this is very easy. Just go to the description. So the main parts of the strain gauge load cell as for a cylinder made of steel, which 4 identical strain gauges are mounted. Out of 4 strain gauges, 1 of the R1, R4 mounted along the direction of the applied force, and the other 2 strain gauges, R2 and R4 horizontal gauges, are mounted circumferentially at the right angle of the R1 and R4. That is good, very easy. The 4 gauges are connected in the 4 links of the Wheatstone bridge. Operation, what is when there is the no load condition, then what will happen? The 4 gauges will have the same resistance. Now when the load will be applied, what will happen? The vertical gauge will undergo compression, hence there will be decreasing resistance. That means when compression, there will be decrease in resistance. When there will be expansion, there will be increase in resistance.